everybody. Today we're going to discuss the secret to true happiness. Now I know you might be thinking that would be love or money or power or maybe getting a new lawnmower. But I'm telling you what, I think that the key to true happiness is comfort food. And nothing makes me more comfortable than just about anything smothered in gravy. So today, we're going to make some meatballs and we're going to put it over some rice and put that in some gravy. Now, if you tend to think that what I'm doing is hard, just hold on, because it's not hard at all. It's the easiest thing in the world. First step, we're going to mix the meat in with some egg and a little bit of crackers, and we're just going to crush those with our hands here and add them to the mix. And that's going to help thicken it up so that when we pat it into balls, it'll all stick together. Now we're going to use the air fryer to do the meat portion of this. Although you could put them on a pan and stick them in the oven. You could even drop them into boiling water if you wanted to go that route. If you want to cheat, you go to the store and get you some meatballs already made and then just stick them in the oven. Other people will go the long route on making the gravy and the rice, but I'm going to cheat on that part because I like stuff that's really easy to do, like boiling a bag of white rice and gravy that's just needs to be heated. Now for the cracker phase, I use saltines. I use just about a half a brick. I don't know what you call those things, saltines, but I use about half one of them little baggies, one of them really long baggies. And what we're just going to do is we're just going to take that, I'm going to take it right over the meat, and we're going to crush this up as fine as we can. And once we get that mixed in, then we're going to stick our hands in there, get a little dirty with it, get it all mixed up good. Now I'm sure you were wondering where the spice was going to be at, since I talk a lot about spices. Well, I'm just going to add some fairly simple stuff to this. Since it is comfort food, I'm not going to go overboard with something that's going to be catch your mouth on fire. But the seasoning, salt, and the blackening is just my go-to for just about anything with meat in it. And I fix meat in practically everything I do. But I'm going to throw in a little rosemary and some onion powder into this mixture. And we're just going to get in there and mix that up. Now then, don't be afraid of your spice, because it's most certainly not going to be afraid of you. Just get in there and start mixing this up. And when you've got it all well blended, that'll be when you start worrying about putting it into meatballs, getting it in a proper shape for you. I'm going to let this sit for just a second, and while I do, I just want to throw a little shout out there to my buddy Mike for giving me some suggestions about this and inspiring me for this particular meal. Thank you, Ryan, for some of your helpful suggestions about doing the YouTube thing in general, and to my wife for all her love and support, and everybody else out there who's looking at this and hoping it turns out just like I do, because in case you haven't guessed, I've never made this before. I'm just making it up as I go. I'm not afraid of my food. You shouldn't be either. Now when you're ready to manufacture the actual meatballs, what I suggest you do is get yourself a nice big tablespoon. Makes it real easy to scoop out the size that you want. Now first I'm going to scoop them out, and then I'm going to shape them up. Like I said, this gives you about the right amount here. And we're going to put a few on the plate. I'm going to turn them into little balls of meat, and then we're going to do some more. Now before we move on to the cooking part of this, I want to talk to all you all out there cooking for just one, because that's what I'm doing right now. And I want to tell you, I understand the hardest part about preparing something that's not just, rip the foil off and stick it in the microwave, kind of single person food. One of the hardest things to do is to get the right amount of ingredients to fix for just yourself. Well, the secret to that is don't just fix it for yourself. I mean, you are fixing it for yourself, but fix it for yourself for now. And be prepared to put some in a plastic container take it to work the next day, or for lunch, or whatever. Just invite a friend over. You can be social or antisocial, doesn't really matter. It's your food. You fix it how you want. But don't forget, if you fix too much, that's perfectly okay. You just eat some more later. It's going to save you money on that cake takeout, and maybe you won't have to do quite as much DoorDash. Now, when you go to load up your air fryer, don't be afraid to put them pretty close together. Get all them little puppies snug in there, because when this thing heats up, your meat is going to shrivel. Now, you may have noticed at the beginning of the video that I'm using lamb today, not beef. Either one will work just fine. But lamb is a very rich, very dense, lean, and delicious, I might add. So it's a very good meat to use for this sort of thing. And but it will still shrink some when we apply the heat. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put the top down, and we're going to set this to air fry mode like we just did. And we want to go at least 15-20 minutes. We'll start, I think, with the default settings here, and we'll just hit start. While that's going on, I've got some water over here. I'm fixing to crank the heat up on it. I'm going to put in, hello. I'm going to put in my rice, boil in a bag, and then we're going to pour our gravy into another little pan over here and heat it up. And like I said, you can do that from scratch if you like. Tonight, I'm just keeping that part simple, and I'm concentrating on the meatballs. Now, in case you're looking for a little bit more information about this, I suggest you check the side of the box. It'll generally tell you how long and how much water and that sort of thing, just like this box here does. It even has microwave directions. Not sure I'd go that route, but that's going to take about 10 minutes or so once the water boils, and that'll coincide nicely with what we're doing over here in the air fryer. And then I'm going to go ahead and pour the gravy, and you can do any flavor gravy you like. I'm very fond of mushrooms, so I'm going to put that in that little pan there, and it'll be ready in a few minutes. Okay, our air fryer is done. Let's open it up. Oh, look how yummy those look. We're going to pull those out in just a second. The rice is done and ready to be taken off. The gravy's good and hot. Let's fix us some supper. Now, in order to make sure I have some leftovers for tomorrow, I already took about half the meatballs off, put them in a plastic container for later. I've just poured out some of my rice onto my plate, and I'm just going to take a little bit of gravy, pour this right over top. Glob, glob, glob. You've heard of Hobby Lobby? Well, my hobby is globby. Boy, that looks good. All right, let's do a taste test next. Okay, now here's the taste test that I promised you. This looks so good. That really is good. Man, that is good. The meat is done. It's completely done. It's rich. It's got a wonderful flavor. I can taste that spice just a little bit. Just brings out the yum, really, that's in it. The rice gives it body, and the gravy. The gravy just washes it right down. Now remember, don't be afraid to play with your food, because when you do, no matter what game you play with it, you're going to win. Now don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. And remember, if you can't be sweet, be spicy.